Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm but one of your hosts. And joining me, as always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how are you doing this fine evening, sir?
Doing pretty damn good, Jimmy. How you doing this evening?
Pretty good. Feels like we are in like a photo shoot. Like when you start off that way, kind of turn to the camera, very dramatic.
Well, very special occasion. Big show tonight. Big podcast. We're both schnazzed up, looking pretty good with that red tie.
Yes.
A little rage inspired, I take it.
What can I say? I'm just here for the Legion. That's right. And if you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. And to all of our Legionnaires, we greet you as always. If you're wondering what we're talking about here, we normally talk about movies, games, TV shows, all those things we love so much. But this is a very special episode. Yes, this is the second annual Critical Reviews Awards, or the Critties for short. We're going to talk about the games, the movies that we loved the most this year, the ones that were the best and the ones that were the worst, just a little bit here and there. So we're going to go through, we have these lovely envelopes. Joe, you got your envelope, right?
No, you forgot. I got a couple of these that say cookbooks.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I forgot about the cookbooks. That's not a good start.
As you can see, we got some official CR Awards envelopes, if you prefer. Got a stack of those. We got to read through. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be great. And, as always, we want to know what your favorites are down in the comments below. If you have any of those you want to, please tweet at us at any time or just leave them down there. We want this to be a discussion, but these are just the ones we've come up with kind of democratically, especially Joe and myself here, about the games we love the most. And if you like Game of the Year, well, we got a little special something for you at the end. We'll talk about it. But let's start from the very beginning. Joe, what is our very first category here tonight?
We start off with a good one, Jimmy. One that hits home for a lot of people. A lot of people love this genre. We're going to start off with best shooter, people. Some people save the best for last. Others, start right off on a good foot, like eating dessert first, right? We're all adults here. We can do what we want, right? We're going to start off with best shooter of 2017. Now, are we just going to get right into it, Jimmy?
I think so. I feel like it's probably there's a few contenders, but I feel like we've chosen the one. So
Jimmy likes to say it was democratic, but there was much debate. Each and every one. It was a tough decision, really. I mean, all these. I mean, there were a lot of good games in 2017 across the board, every category, and it was a fun debate, to say the least, and nostalgic. Kind of looking back on some of the games we played through the year, some really good times, am I right?
Yeah, it's very good. It's such a long year. It's an incredible year, though. Seriously, it's very good.
Yeah, so starting off with the first CR Critties envelope. Seal unbroken. Hold on, I can't get it open. I'm just kidding. I just want to build anticipation.
I like it. That's good.
All right. And the best shooter of 2017 goes to Bungie's Destiny 2.
Oh, my goodness. A surprise. Okay. Destiny 2.
Ciao.
I feel like we've talked about this game a lot, but I think one of the things that Destiny does really well is that not only it does something that Titanfall did well too. It strikes on both the kind of single player aspect, but also the multiplayer aspect, and it just gives you a lot to do. And that's why I think it was one of the reasons it's risen to the top, I'd say. So
yeah, and there's a lot of different aspects of this game that make it a great shooter. I think some things that people look for in a shooter, and a little plug for Call of Duty, but Call of Duty I feel was in the running for this one, but we're so used to seeing the Call of Duty, it's kind of become a monotonous thing to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
But this year they kind of went back to the roots and kind of refreshed or reinvigorated the interest in the game. A bit more historical value, a little bit more bare bones, and more thinking. You got to really strategize on your moves, which I enjoyed. But so honorable mention goes out to COD World War II. But Call of Duty started something with their saga, if you will, where customization became a fun thing to do. Like, oh, I got to get my clan tag on my weapon, or I need this cool gun skin, stuff like that. Well, Bungie takes it to a whole new level in Destiny where your character is a big deal. the
Yeah.
armor, the
Oh,
gear.
totally.
I don't want to say it's endless, but there's a lot. There's a lot, and
So much.
they do little seasonal things. Like at one point, did it have to do with the Crucible, or was it what did they call that? It was kind of like almost it was kind of Viking-esque, where they had kind of the cool,
Oh, the different
more
events. Yeah, like the Iron
stuff.
Banner stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah, which was a lot of fun. They had some cool stuff you could get through playing Crucible and story mode. Um, but the skins and stuff, the shaders that you can get for your weaponry and your armor is just endless and so much fun. I'll admit, I even may have done a microtransaction or two to get some more dust, bright dust to buy shaders and whatnot. But just goes to show, they introduce different aspects of the game. And I know they've had it, but it just adds another dimension to the game that makes it more fun. Like, hey, look at me in my sweet outfit and my cool shader, and it's like, I don't care if I go and die 10 times and get 5 kills. You all saw me, right? I look cool.
yeah, exactly. A
But
lot of it's that. Yeah.
yeah, and the gameplay is good. The controls, everything, it's smooth, it's fluid. The online multiplayer worked well. It functioned properly. Um, and there were different aspects to the game modes as well. You had your standard Crucible, your multiplayer matches, get in with your friends and just kill people, right? Or domination type matches, that sort of thing, point holds. Um, but in addition to that, you could interact at the farm or the tower, which were like your base points to go back and get your rewards and all that. And that was always fun. Little mini games to play during that. They had like soccer in both of them. And then the story mode and everything, going to do things like that, little missions on the planets, right?
Oh yeah, like the strikes. The biggest one of
Well,
those.
they have all that, but you could also play through story missions
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
with your crew, which was fun. And as you're doing that, you're seeing other online players in that world on that planet, not necessarily interacting with you or joining up, but just in passing, which is neat. Kind of adds to the vastness of that Destiny world, if you will. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then as you mentioned, you get the strikes. What was the other? It's strikes and
And they had the raid too.
the raid. Yeah, which wow, am I right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. I don't know why they did it the way they did it, but still,
Yeah, yeah.
still,
Well,
that's like the only glaring flaw.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to queue up for 45 minutes and wait for somebody to lead us through. So, we
Yeah.
went in as leader, and of course, we didn't know what we were doing. But still, it's a good time. It is. It's a good time. It's kind of straightforward, but the futuristicness of it and the cool aspects of every little detail are neat. Not to mention something that we didn't talk about yet. The environments. And I know we mentioned it as we played the game. A lot of the environments are just stellar, really cool, really cool. The different lighting styles and the nature on each planet was just, I don't want to say overwhelming, but just like you were kind of in awe of it if you took a moment to look at it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And some of that stuff kind of evocative of like No Man's Sky as far as the look went, but it had its own art style and something that felt like wasn't as present in the first game. Like they really stepped it up for this one, which I appreciated a lot. More context
Yeah,
building of the story and the world. So
it was flat out well done. Hence why I pulled their name out of the envelope, and that's our shooter for 2017.
sweet. I don't feel like I've got anything else to add to that. You did a good job.
Were
So,
there any other honorable mentions you had, Jimmy? I said
no,
COD World War II, but
I'd say
any
Call of
others?
Duty. Call of Duty might be, that I could see on that one. I don't think so. This year for shooters has not been. I think maybe someone was like honorable mention for Wolfenstein,
Oh
but
yeah,
like New
yeah.
Colossus. But I don't. I didn't really get a chance to play that. But if anyone out there's like a
Neither
big
did I,
Wolfenstein fan,
but I saw some video gameplay of that game, and it looks pretty intense and snazzy. But I think another honorable mention to throw out there would be like Ghost Recon Wildlands, third person shooter, right?
sure, yeah, that's true. That's very true. And
Sync shots and stuff like that, the teamwork behind it, the silent work, and
the
then
wet
then
work,
working
baby.
with your environment.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right, right.
we talked about this beforehand, kind of saying like, if we have a year that has more than like 2 or 3 shooters that are first person and third person. We do 2 separate ones, but we've kind of combined them, especially this year, because there wasn't as many as we've had in the past. But I would say an honorable mention does go to Ghost Recon Wildlands for taking the formula we had in Future Soldier, applying it to an open world and saying like, hey, you want to group up with 4 of your friends, or 3 of your friends, and go out, just check out the entire world, do it in any way you want to, join up with them. Joe's, 80% of the way through the game. I just started. He can join my game. I can join his game. Doesn't matter. Just go get an helicopter, go hunt some cartel members down. It's a lot of fun.
Do your thing. Do your thing, right?
Yeah.
It was a good time. So,
yeah.
All right.
On
to the next one.
Next award. This one goes, we're bringing it up a little bit early, but it's a pretty big deal. Best role-playing game. Now, before we started the show, I had a little saying that kind of took off, and I just want to say that a great role-playing game. Joe's getting so excited. He's just throwing stuff.
Dropping my pen. I took notes.
A great role-playing game not only brings you into its world, but makes you a part of it. And this game does exactly that. And the Critty goes to Persona 5. Persona 5 is a game that I really enjoyed this year, and even though I couldn't stream it for everybody, I still loved playing through it. It was about 100 hours to play through the campaign, and that was just kind of going as quick and as most efficiently as I possibly could. Not to say that I didn't take a lot of time to take a moment, smell the roses, kind of enjoy the ambiance, but really getting into that world and feeling like a character in that world. It's a lot of fun. Now, the character himself, I would say, is maybe the most boring aspect of it. A lot of JRPGs and some movies do this too, where it's just like a shell of a character, and you are that character. You choose the dialogue and all that. He doesn't really speak, so you're just kind of the cool guy. However, all the other characters in the game are excellent, and for the most part, your entire crew is very well-rounded and thought out, and they all have motivations, they all have likes and dislikes, they all have relationships with you, and depending on how strong you make those relationships, the amount of time you spend outside of fighting alongside them, it makes those your abilities in combat stronger with that person. It's really cool. One of the things is hey, if you're a really high enough level, some of these people, they can remove a status ailment from you, and they'll just do that because you have a strong enough bond, because maybe you trained with Ryuji, who's your kind of your best pal, and he's you go running with him once in a while, or you go to the ramen shop and you just talk about stuff, and that really is the mark of something truly special when you start to care about these actual characters. I'm man, I really want that person to be happy. I really want to succeed. I want to make our lives better, and kind of, really getting enveloped in, especially this in Japan, in Tokyo, and getting to explore a new culture that is kind of interesting because you have some of it, based in reality, but then a lot of it's based in fantasy. So it's cool to kind of get that feel for both worlds, and that's something that this game does incredibly well, and it is just the best role-playing game of 2017, hands down. So, yeah.
No competition, it sounds like, huh?
Well, there might have been some here and there, but just nothing as far as this specific category goes. It's just hard to think of another one that really came close. So,
understandable. Understandable.
All right, Joe.
Yeah.
Give us the next category, my friend.
Before I jump into the next category, I'd just like to build a little more anticipation for the rest of the show.
Oh, Joe, what is that you have in your hand over there?
This, Jimmy, is our spontaneous, spur-of-the-moment trophy for the 2017 movie of the year.
Oh, my goodness. We have a Best Picture, and it's getting an award? How crazy are these people?
One of those moving pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what do we call this? The exploding atom?
Yeah.
Yeah. In better light, you would see that it's pure metal. It's substantial, and nice glitter, gold. It is gold. Nothing says a prestigious award like gold. England.
That's true.
But anywho, so this will be making an appearance later in the show. But I'm just.
You might see it a few times.
Oops. I almost dropped it there.
It's so powerful.
Gold dents really easily.
Soft as metal, everybody. I think.
Yeah, I may have bit it once or twice. So, moving into our next category, this one is going to be the best demo, alpha or beta of 2017. we've had a lot of them. Let's face it, it was a smorgasbord of game content for this year. A lot of things coming out, a lot of beta tests, alphas that you could register for and play. A few come to mind. I know we played Ghost Recon Wildlands. We played For Honor. Let's see, what other ones did we play? There was Monster Hunter 2 most recently. Any other ones you can think of mentioning that were in this category, Jimmy?
No, those are the biggest ones that I would like to bring up, probably.
Yeah. And, most of the major game releases this year had them. Those are just some of the ones that we played that we felt needed a good mention. So some you don't really need to play because you know what they expect, right?
Yeah.
Anywho, without further ado, let's pull up the old CR Critty envelope here. Break the seal. All right, best demo alpha beta of 2017. Drum roll, please. Monster Hunter World.
Oh my goodness, Monster Hunter World. But Joe, you didn't even get to play this one. Why did you pick it?
I didn't get to play it. However, I've seen a lot of content on it. I know Ben from Easy Allies, right?
Yep.
He played a bit of it. I happened to catch his stream that day. Looked like a lot of fun. I went back and I watched some of your stream on this Critical Reviews Twitch channel.
Thank you very much. Shameless plug.
Really, really good stuff. And seems like, pretty open world, really cool environments, constantly changing, and you have to adapt and adjust. A lot of team prowess needs to be used here.
Yes.
And strategizing. A good team composition is important. And you can't just run into a battle blind, right? You got to think about it a little bit before you run in. Develop a bit of a game plan. But then on top of that, just from what I've seen, some of the things I've looked up, and from your gameplay and whatnot, the designs. I am a sucker for an artistic monster design. Something that kind of, I guess pulled on that heartstring for me initially in the video game world when I really started to get into playing online with my friends, mainly you, Jimmy, and Drew and Thomas and all those guys, Levi. Evolve. I thought Evolve was a good time. I really love the monster designs. I wish it would have kept going. Just didn't have the longevity and the support there. But the monster designs were cool. You can't complain. They were neat. And then that's another reason why I like movies like Alien. I think the xenomorph design is just, you'll never top it. It's just sexy. Haunts nightmares for eternity. And then this game just has that vastness to it where there's just endless monsters to explore, all these really cool, intricate, ornate designs. And what's not to love? You gotta love that. The art behind it, I think, really hits it home. But clearly, it hit home with you. You gave it a good review. You talked about it a lot. I know personally, you and I had talked about it quite a bit. It really seems like it's going to be a good time. So 2017, what was it? Beta? Was it a beta? Or beta for PlayStation 4, right? So that's why it's on the list.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're saying, it sounds like it'll probably scale as far as difficulty goes, because when I was playing it alone, you could kind of pick and choose whatever weapon you like. But there's like 14 or 15 different weapons. But as you get more and more people involved in the game, that's where the strategy comes involved. So it's like, maybe you do want to have two people who are melee focused and two people who are ranged focused. One's kind of healing people, one's also kind of doing damage from a distance. And stuff like that kind of invokes the best portions of a game like Evolve, where you're hunting something down and you're using strategy as a team to take it down together, as opposed to just doing it by yourself. And that's one of the coolest things. But as Joe touched on, different locations, the monster designs, the choice of weapons and the depth of some of the combat, depending on what you pick. Just means that there's going to be a lot of replayability because every monster fight is typically different, and because you're using a different weapon potentially, you can change that up too, which is a lot of fun, and it keeps it fresh. So for people who like games like this, it's always going to be a little bit different, which is really nice. So I'm interested to see what kind of legs it has here in 2018, but it sold me, and that is the best thing an alpha, a beta, or demo can do. Sell you on a game. Gives you just enough, and all I could think is, I want more time in this world. I need more time in this world. Please let me go back. I was just getting okay at it, and then they just took it away from me. So hopefully we'll get another beta coming up before for Xbox, but if not, we'll probably all be there day one or so. So that'll be hopefully a review coming out next year as well. All right.
Yeah.
Joe, we're moving on to the next category. Quick side note, cesium, considered to be the softest metal. Just looked it up just to make sure. I want people to learn here as well as be entertained. So I learned something.
Gold's arch nemesis.
Yes, cesium. Anyway, the next one we have is kind of an interesting one. Best strategy. Now, typically, we usually have like a big front runner that, at least for the last few years, it's kind of easy to pick out. Like last year, we had Civilization 6, and to me, it was just like, man, it's just like, how can you look at anything else? Some interesting oddballs in this one. And even though we didn't get a lot of time with any of these games, I still felt it was good to reach out and, give a little, mention to at least one of these games. So, without further ado, the Critty for best strategy goes to
Lay it on us.
Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Now, this is a weird game. It is the marriage of two companies, Nintendo and Ubisoft. It takes Mario plus these weird little rabbit creatures and puts them in an XCOM style scenario where you have to get behind cover and move from place to place in this grid style based combat. And it's jolly, it's fun, it's interesting, and I really want to support the idea of other companies coming together to bring their IPs into one thing, to coalesce and to make something fun and good with a good budget. And it was probably one of the coolest moments from E3, having those guys meet up together and kind of go back to back with their little blasters. I was like, this is like a cool thing. I want more of that in the gaming industry, and I would love to see that continued further down the line. However, I would say that honorable mention probably goes to Total War Warhammer 2. There was more of that this year, which I was like, I've always wanted to get in those games. It looks really good. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. But those are the only strategy games for me that really came to mind this year as far as being the best. So, yeah, there you go. Strategy. Right. There it is.
Yeah. Something, that's a game genre I never... unfortunately, I never seemed to really dabble in that type of game genre, but there's credibility there for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I like what you said too about game companies coming together with their IPs and creating something that's kind of a double whammy. The fans kind of eat that stuff up, and it only makes for better content, and having two big names behind one single initiative can really be beneficial.
Yeah, well, it's not like we haven't seen it before. Stuff like Marvel versus Capcom, where they bring them together, and it's not just because these two companies come together. It's just that, like, it's also just a really good game, but it also just happens to be this. So it's just a cool aspect on top of a good game. If they would have made this game without the Rabbids and Mario, it still would have been a cool like XCOM game. And I'm like, all right, cool. It just
sure. That's what I get for playing with a pen at the podium.
Oh my goodness, we can't have nice things. This is why.
I love that pen. I'll get it later. All right. We're moving on to our next category for the 2017 Annual Critty Awards. This one it's probably one of the most anticipated for a bad reason. Right?
Sure.
Everybody's like, what did you guys absolutely hate this year? What struck a bad chord with you this year? Whether you played it or not, whether you played it thinking it was great, a lot of anticipation, hated it, or whether you just knew it was bad, or you kind of had your reservations, so you just stayed away from it to begin with to see what other people thought, and then maybe your your reservations were confirmed via others. This one is the most disappointing of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see our envelope. I need to get my cheaters on. Why do they write this stuff so small?
I don't know. You wrote it.
I did not. This was the Academy that wrote this one.
The committee.
The committee. All right. Most disappointing of 2017. I just have to draw these things out real long to build up the anticipation. Like, what do you think I'm going to say? What was it for you? Take a moment. Press pause. What was your most disappointing game of 2017? All right.
We're never going to get asked to do an awards show. We'll never be asked.
What's that, Bob? We still have more time till commercial break? Okay. Consider it handled. Luckily, no commercials here. Just Joe ranting on for an hour about nothing.
Just like every week.
All right, rolling in. Most disappointing of 2017, as if I haven't said that enough. Battlefront 2, a Star Wars game by EA.
Yes. So,
sorry, guys.
I want to make a clarification. This, I wouldn't say, if we look back at like truly the worst games of this year, I don't know if it would necessarily be that. I think it just was handled the most poorly, and that's why it's disappointing. Because you look at the first Battlefront, it looks so good. It sounds so good. It's like the only big Star Wars game out there right now. They have the MMO, and they have the mobile stuff, but really, one of the closing and shuttering of Visceral games, so we're not sure about what Respawn's working on. It's the only Star Wars game in town, the only racket. And EA knows this, and they have, this deal with Disney for a few more years at least, like probably 5 or 6, and they decided to really drive home this microtransaction thing, which they've since come back off of a bit, but the damage is already done. And it just really saddens me, because it's like, I love Star Wars so much and I want to play a Star Wars game, but after playing the first one, seeing how this was going and turning out, I just wasn't excited about Star Wars. And that's why it's disappointing. I was hoping they'd learn from it. They added space battles. They got a campaign. This is all stuff that really should have been there from the get-go. And putting it in this one now and then adding all these weird like progression systems with microtransactions, just really shady. And it's just not, it just doesn't handle the same way. It's just not like the old Battlefront games. It's like they don't want to be Pandemic, the guys who made the original ones, which are so good and beloved, because they're like, we're DICE, we're better. It's like, just don't. So that's why it's disappointing to me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'd agree. And I kind of alluded to it all leading into this category. You had your reservations about it. And a good tell-all was just our experience with Battlefield 1. You knew that they would kind of develop on that for a stepping stone and change some things. And it sounds like they just changed things for the worse. But you're right. Just maybe handled in the wrong way. It could be so much more and isn't. I remember Battlefront 1 being really almost trolly, and you felt like you wasted time trying to play it, because it was literally like if you were playing the, you had to stop the AT-ATs.
The Walker Assault thing on Hoth.
Yeah, and it was cool and all, and it was a good concept, but it was like, Spawn gets shot from who knows where. Oh, he was way over there. Okay, I get the whole sniping thing, but let's make it a little more challenging or something.
Yeah.
And we only played the beta of that, I believe. And I don't know, did you buy that full game?
No, there you go. We talk about good alpha betas and demos. If you play a bad one, though, it's just like, I just didn't care. I was like, I'd rather be playing Overwatch or something.
For you. And it was a good concept, and the sound was really good. It looked beautiful, but essentially what it was is, okay, respawn, get the cover as quick as you can.
Pretty much.
We got to get from here to there. Better take the most inconspicuous route ever, otherwise you're screwed. Maybe it's just us. Maybe it's a thing where you just gotta recognize that difficulty and you got to be more creative about it. But we were at times, and it was just really grueling. Is the way I felt about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this was a little more of the same from what I've heard on it, and the whole microtransaction thing. It seems to me it's like, sometimes the best feeling that you get out of a game is being rewarded for hard work. And in this game, there's no hard work involved. It's just whether you're willing to spend money on it or not.
Exactly. I will give an honorable mention though to like the lighting and the sound design, all of that, like the graphics. It all looks incredible, sounds great from what I've seen and gotten to be a part of. But at the same time, it's just like just because it's pretty. I think of video games as the video part being like 30% and the game part being 70%. And if the video part's amazing, but the game part's like, it's like,
Yeah, and sound in there as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's that's the biz. So
and
so
just to
good.
be clear, I mean, if you really think about this, look at the bigger picture. It may be most disappointing game of the year for us, but look at what it's up against. Look at the broad picture. Look what other games were out there. Just because it was most disappointing doesn't mean it wasn't. It's not like it was terrible. It's not like it was a poor game or the quality wasn't there, that sort of thing. It goes more along the lines of what Jimmy said. Maybe handled poorly. Could have been more than what it was, and for that reason, it's on. Awarded this award, if you can call it that. But yeah. So it's not like we're just throwing it on the ground and stomping on it. But
we're just hoping for better, honestly. And it's Star Wars. It'd be one of the easiest things on the planet to sell. I mean, it just basically prints money, puts Star Wars on anything, and people are going to pick it up. It's like, just don't, EA, just stop messing around. All right, you've got the most valuable IP on the planet. Stop screwing around, please. Just stop it. You stop it. You stop it. All right, stop it. All right, I think I got through to him. You're welcome, guys.
I think you did it. All right,
Anthem better be good.
Next. What? What?
I said Anthem. Anthem better be good. EA.
Are we going to do an award for most anticipated?
No, that seems. See, I was thinking about that, but I always feel like those are weird awards to do because it's like we're anticipated about it, but then if it like we get to like.
And then it makes the Critties next year for most disappointing.
Yeah, that would be so funny. Every year we give it one, and it just always gets disappointing. We're like,
Hey, remember what we say about movies. Always go in with low expectations. You'll never be let down. All right.
Yeah, well.
So, Jimmy.
A movie later.
Jimmy, take me in. Yeah, we may talk about one later. Lead us into our next category.
Our next category is on most improved game. Now, these are games that have been supported throughout the year or multiple years, and they keep seeing adjustments, maybe to characters in the game, maps, or different things like that, making the world better and making the environment in which you play more fun to play in. Now, this game, well, we've talked about it a few times on here, so it might not be a surprise to most of you. But the Critty for most improved goes to Overwatch. Now, Overwatch is a game, we talked about this beforehand, before we started the show tonight. Overwatch doesn't really need improvement in a lot of ways. The shooting's really good, the characters are amazing, the maps are really fun to play on, and the gameplay is addicting. However, Joe pointed this out, and it was really good. They are constantly retooling their characters. We look at people like Symmetra, Roadhog, Reaper, Mercy, all characters that had huge, like big changes to them and have made them more fun to play and more interesting. Diva. Yeah, Diva, yeah. And I forget if Symmetra was this year or last year, but anyway, it's just that they put so much time into that, which makes us keep coming back to it. I looked at it recently. I thought I only put 120 hours into this game. I put like 220 hours into this game. Like, it is that good, and they keep improving on it. Not only that, they go insane with the big events and stuff where you have like different skins for your characters, different like little maps and missions you can do, and they really do a good job of supporting the people who bought into it in the first place. And the thing is, it's all free, not just like, fixing things or updating things. But like, hey, it's a new character. You can play them. It's like, here's some new skins. Yeah. You just have to use your in-game currency to get it, but there it is.
Work to be rewarded with that.
Yep, exactly. And it's not like it makes you any better at the game, like in Battlefront, which actually made you stronger. In Overwatch, it's like, yeah, I got a new Tracer skin. Doesn't mean I do more damage with my ultimate ability. It's just like...
She blinks 3 more times.
Yeah, they're constantly making that game better and better. And I don't know if we'll ever get an Overwatch 2 because they keep, adding stuff to it like that.
Yeah,
but at the same time...
It's a foundation that they can just keep building up and up and up with, And I think, other things I mentioned about the game... You talked about updates every so often, new characters, new skins, new events, seasonal events. I think if you look back at the history, it's almost like every 2 months there's something new in that game to look at.
Yeah, and substantially different sometimes, too. Like, they'll have their summer games and stuff or their winter wonderland thing, but then they'll also be like, hey, Omnic Crisis. Like, do you want to fight a bunch of robots?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
so another thing, I'm glad you talked about that because they're arcade games. They also introduced the team deathmatch mode. That's not for everybody. Not my favorite thing in the world. It's kind of weird in Overwatch, but and it can be imbalanced if you're not smart about your choices. But That they have the mayhem mode, which is really fun to me. Anytime that's up, I'm like playing it 24/7. But just those different things that they mix in there from time to time, as well as like cosmetic updates to their maps for seasonal events. I love that kind of stuff. It's just I feed off of it, and the game is there. It's good. It doesn't need improvement, but it's the little things. And I think the updates that they've made to certain characters and their abilities and what they can do has been better for the game. It makes it more balanced. They understand this. They analyze it, and they make these little adjustments that make it even more fun. So I think that's probably the number one reason it's most improved this year. Obviously released in May of 2016, still going strong. Their general population of original players is still there. So I don't think there was any way we couldn't throw this one on the list.
Yeah, definitely. I still stand by that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some big major things change about it and maybe even be on a list in some way next year too, because that's just Blizzard. They support their games. So
yeah, that's support, baby.
All right, Joe. What's our next category, my friend?
Oh, there's more. Wow.
I know we have so much content. It's like these guys are just content coming out of their ears,
Jimmy, I know you're going to get mad because we're jumping out of order.
That's fine.
I feel like this is one that's best spoken about by none other than yourself. I feel like you should introduce this one.
All right, that makes sense. I was thinking about that too. All right. So the next category we have is Best Independent Game, or Indie, as it were. Now, there's a lot of indies that come out every year, and it's hard for independent games to get the same type of attention as these AAA games get. They don't have the same funding, same teams. But one thing that they always tend to have, more so than these other things, is a lot of heart, a lot of passion, because these are the people who are making games to make games. They want to. They love it. And this game, well, it's got so much of that. It's just hard not to talk about it. And the Critty goes to Cuphead. Cuphead is a game that I got to a little bit later. Came out in September, and now I'm playing it here in December and January. But Cuphead is such a fascinating wonder to me. The team was about 14 people strong. There's two brothers from Canada who had this idea a long time ago, and they thought, you know what, why don't we make a game, or why doesn't somebody make a game that's set with like a 1930s kind of cartoon aesthetic where it has this old kind of Mickey Mouse, old school Disney flair to it, but maybe give it kind of a little bit of an edge. They did just that. And if you look at this game, not only is the art direction just wonderful, and the design of these creatures and everything in it so well done and animated, it really feels like you're playing one of these old movies. But
the word stellar would strike a chord, Jimmy.
Maybe stellar is a good one. Stellar. I'm going to use stellar. Sure. It's stellar. All of it's stellar. But the controls of the game are really good too. And unlike a game that is challenging in a different way, like a Souls series game, like, I've tried those out in the past. Those ones are so crushing because you lose to a boss and you have to run all the way back to the boss. This one, it's like, hey, you want to fight the boss? You can do it right again. You just keep going. Just like, and then you start to feel like with Overwatch, this intrinsic progression. You're like, I'm getting better at this game. The more I play it, the better I get. The better I get at taking these guys down. And it feels so good. Not only that, you can play co-op if you want to. It's just so much fun to get all these different powers. Feel like, man, this works really well on this boss. This one power, like I should really try to use this more often. Or say like, hey, I'm having a problem with this guy. What's a good strategy? Let's look at my abilities and see if we can figure something out. So there's a lot in this game, and it's just so cool that it's just like, it started off as kind of a boss rush game. There's these run and gun levels now. There's this kind of overworld map you can walk around on. Music's great. Characters are great. Just a great game. Cuphead. Check it out. It's like $17 right now, but $20 regularly on Xbox and PlayStation, or on PC, not PlayStation. It's never coming to PlayStation. I'm sorry, PlayStation users. They're like, it's a console exclusive, but Cuphead 2, maybe one day. I hope so, because it's a really great game. Check it out.
Right on, Jimmy. Interesting name. Interesting name for the game. Cuphead.
Well, that's the name of the main character. He's got a cup for a head. And his brother Mugman.
Mm-hmm. What?
Yes. I feel like we talked about this.
Well deserved. Sounds good. All right. I will just get right at it. Lead us into the next category. So, This one is, I feel like this is another important one. We're getting to some pretty top-notch categories here as I look down the list. This one is something that kind of really hits home for me, right in my wheelhouse. Probably one of the top reasons that I am even into video games, period. This is the best co-op game of 2017. To kind of hit it home, the reason that this is kind of an important category personally to me is because I feel like the most important thing about games, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but the most important thing about them to me is bringing people together. I don't quite see the value in owning a game console unless I'm spending time with my friends, right? Some people think, oh, no, I'm just get a game, sit down on the couch by myself, lights off, talking to no one, hone in, right? I'm like, hey, Jimmy, what you up to? You want to play a little bit of this? Get on the mic and have a little fun, right? A little chatting in between, a little smack talk, that whole thing. I love it, and that's kind of why it hits home for me. I love that aspect about gaming. I think pretty much, I don't think there's one game that I own that isn't a co-op or multiplayer game. So I guess without further ado, let's announce our 2017 best co-op game of the year. Let's see on our envelope. The reason I passed off the indie game to you is because I didn't have an envelope for it. I was like,
yeah. Gotcha.
Oh, yep, this makes sense. So, best co-op game of 2017 is Ghost Recon Wildlands. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands.
It's a mouthful.
Sorry, long name. Yeah. It's a sentence. Anywho, yeah. So, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. I just couldn't think of anything better for 2017. I think this is well deserved, even if there was a lot of competition for it. Yeah, this is it. I like it. I like the strategy behind it, the use of the environments, the open world feel of it, the AI interaction is well done. The story, if you really pay attention, there's a story there. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. It was what it was. It's what you kind of expected, but it was well done for the most part. Every once in a while, you get a sense with like certain scenes, you kind of look at a character and you're like, ooh, who designed that one? It was a little pixelated or something, but for the most part, for such a large open world game, and not having loading screens for the most part, super well done. The amount of things that you can do, and I pretty much did them all with the help of my fiance Haley. She liked playing this game, believe it or not. Third person shooter, open world. She would get in there, and I'd be like, hey babe, why don't you just go collect all the guns and the attachments for me? See those little blue things? Yeah, those. Yeah, so I've got them all. and she enjoyed it, so that says something about this game. And Jimmy, I know you even played with her, so somebody who doesn't even enjoy video games that much got into it, played it, spent a lot of time playing it, and enjoyed it. So there's no way this one couldn't have won this year. I just really enjoy it. I love the team-centric vibe, using, like, you would go into a mission, you'd be like, guys, we got to wait for dark. The fact that you even think about that is awesome. I love that. I love it. So the weather, the environments do change in the region you're in. Just a really good time. And then the endless decisions that can be made between you and your team, your buddies, me, you, Drew, the endless decisions that we can make and the debates over how we think we should approach a certain situation were always great. Sometimes I almost think like we should have gone about it at a harder difficulty, but
no, No. We were fine at where we were.
Oh, okay, yeah. We would botch a thing or two once in a while.
Yep, we would do that.
Yeah, sometimes sniping is hard, or you get a little overconfident in.
How dare you? I was a crack shot. You go in there. No, just kidding. I just killed somebody. I accidentally killed him. Alarms. I'd be like, "What's happening?" You'd be like, we need to do it again." I'd be like, "Oh, abort."
There were some missions in there, even on the what do we play it on normal? Some of those
we ratcheted it up to harder.
We may have.
I think we did it because we were like, we want this to be like legit. Like,
yeah, you're right. We did. No, so some of the missions that you would do were a little easier, a little more straightforward. Some of them were a little more difficult with a lot of enemies to take on. You really had to be smart about how you approach it. And the thing is even if it wasn't like you and two pals, you've got your AI team with you, and it'd be a team of 4, including you, and you got to worry about them as well. You have commands to give them and where you want them placed and that sort of thing. You can do sync shots with you and your buddies or with the AI on who you want to take out and in what order and call the fire off. A lot of really nice aspects to that game. Good stuff. And I would go back and play it to this day. The thing is, I just don't know that there's enough content to bust into anymore. I kind of, we beat the final mission. The only bad thing I can say about it is the final scene from that game is kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, there's not a lot of player choice in that moment. You're like, okay, guess we're doing it this way.
Yeah. Spoilers, if you don't want to hear what happens, come back in 5 seconds. She gets to kill him?
Yeah, should have been us.
Should have been us. We worked so hard for this.
Yeah. That's all right. It sets a nice base, and I'm hoping that in the future they just build on this, and then they just make even crazier things like breaching or using like kind of grapples to like climb up different areas. Because after playing other games where you can climb and stuff, all I could think is in this game, like, it's so cool. But think of like Joe and I are climbing up side by side. We're doing like amphibious assault, a little more like going under the water and like really getting into that besides just doing like a stealth swim. But yeah, great game.
Something I would like to see more is more aquatic features. I know there was somewhere you would like assault a little island base camp or something. I would have liked to have seen more aquatic features in that game. But
sure. Well, it just took a lot of the things I thought the Division did pretty well or all right as far as like the third-person shooting with a team, and just took away a lot of the weird RPG stuff. It still had some weird RPG stuff in this game, but just kind of made it a little easier and just a big open world you can explore with your friends. So what's not to like about that?
I enjoyed the customization a lot. A lot of the weaponry was pretty good. The controls were pretty good. The customization was awesome. Like, Jimmy never changed out of his black hooded sweatshirt and all black outfit. He was stained in blood, and he could barely move because it was so dry and crusty.
Yes, a lot of my enemies. I'm bathing it.
He stunk really bad. It was hot down there in where was it?
Bolivia.
Bolivia, yeah. Anywho, me and Drew, we had a lot of fun with changing our outfits all the time, like cowboy hat and plaid with a cigar, and it was fun. A lot of cool options with that. Good time.
More like Ghost Recon Fashion Lands. You guys are just always checking your mirrors, and I'm trying to get the job done. I'm like sniping for like a mile out, and I'm like, "You guys done over there?" Like, I got a new cowboy hat and a cigar. And like,
we walk up right before a mission. Jimmy, how do we look? Oh,
I'd be like, I have an eye patch on, and this eye's not doing so well, so I can't tell you guys.
We're letting him snipe, Drew.
Yep. It was cool. All right. I feel like I don't have anything else to say about Ghost Recon Wildlands. If you have buddies, you should play it. I don't know if I'd recommend it for someone to play it alone, but that's why it's the best co-op game of the year. That's what I recommend.
Exactly. So that should define it for you guys and make the decision easy.
Mm-hmm. Next up, a pretty big one, especially for us, because we just talked about co-op games. Now, instead of playing with your friends, how about playing against them or against other people? This is best multiplayer. All right, here we
go. Yeah. This one strikes home with me big time too as well.
Mm-hmm. Sure does. Destiny 2. Believe it or not, Destiny 2.
Oh,
coming into tonight, I was like, I'm not sure we're gonna come to an agreement on this, but I would say, we talked about Destiny enough already. But to focus in on the multiplayer aspect of it, kind of the Crucible itself is actually pretty fun. It's pretty addicting, once you get into it. I'm not a huge Crucible guy, and Joe can attest to this. I was always like, guys, can we do like strikes or raids or whatever? But once I got in there for a little bit, I was like, yeah, yeah, this is pretty fun because you use your powers if you team up, especially in that game because everyone's got like shields and health. It feels like, it's like if you team up, if you're 2-on-1 in that one, you almost need to do that a lot of the time because if they team up on you at all, there's no way to like outmaneuver them skillfully in a really good way unless you're like a really good hunter or something. But it's like it's hard to do that. So very team oriented 4v4 matches, which I thought was really cool. And that's one of the reasons I thought it was the best multiplayer of the year.
Yeah, and I agree. I echo everything you said there. One thing I would add to it, and you kind of touched on a little bit, is that you have these abilities, and there's the 3 different classes: Warlock, Titan, Hunter. Each one different features and abilities, different things that they're good at. What are they really catered towards doing? And it was nice because between you, Drew, and myself, we all chose different. So I was Titan, you were Warlock, and Drew was Hunter. And I love the Titan class. I just feel like, the main thing to go into those Crucible matches with, and even the strikes and so on and so forth, is to have a little bit of strategic prowess. Think about what you're doing, watch your mini map, and then utilize your abilities as a team for the good of the match, right? Analyzing situations, exit points, entry points, and setting up in a good way. Sometimes you can be more aggressive and you let them worry about setting up, but sometimes you got to be smart. Let the enemy come to you a little bit. Use the Titan shield, use special grenades, all that sort of stuff, and you'll reap the rewards for it. But I think a little bit more strategy and thought goes into that game once you mix in those character abilities, and it's fun too. They don't always have the same super, stuff like that. It changes based on the classification you choose, and I like that little bit of not versatility,
Variety.
Variety. There we go. Started with a V. I was close.
Also, yeah, get the power weapons, by the way. Always get the power weapons. If you can get power weapon ammo, it'll feel good. Rocket launcher, sword, whatever you can get, it feels good, man.
It does feel good. I think if you were to pick one, which would it be? I love the sword.
See, I love the rocket launcher because I don't have to commit to the fight. I just like jump in and kill like 2 of them. Like, that took a second. Like,
Yeah. I like that close hand-to-hand combat. And by that, I mean slicing off the hands.
It's weird that shotguns were power weapons. Like, I get why they are, but it's like it's kind of sad that you couldn't, in just the entirety of Destiny, it's like shotguns were only like a special thing you didn't use very often. Because when you busted out a shotgun, it was like, yeah, this is like what a real shotgun point blank to any creature would do. It's like
so, expanding on Destiny just a little bit more. I know we've talked a lot about it, but and I'd like to know what the community feels towards Destiny too. But content, I feel like we kind of hit a wall with it, unless you keep playing Crucible more and more and keep leveling stuff up and all that, or you're really committed to doing that raid. There's really not much else out there for you.
There's the DLC if you want to do that, but
then there's the DLC. So I feel like there's that little bit in me, back of my mind, tingling, and it's not a tumor, but I want to go back and check out what this DLC is about. What have they released? Is it enough to get me to spend a little money and get back into the game? It's very possible. I don't know. The strike doesn't seem to be all that different. It kind of alternates between 2 or 3.
Yeah, at least, but there's probably more by now that we might not even know.
I hope so. So, that's on my list to get back into here in 2018. So,
yeah, I have no aversion to it either.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. We talked about co-op and multiplayer. Tell us about our next category, a new one this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is a new one. A newbie but a goodie. As I said, I think the next few here, well, I mean, they're all great, but these next few are really good. This one is, some people may like Mortal Kombat. Some people may like, I don't know, Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't know. Anywho, this one is the best fighting game of 2017. Most people can guess what we're going to pick, right? The votes have been tallied, so to speak. And there wasn't much of an argument here. I know I'm not supposed to know ahead of time, but let's just say I can see the future. Best fighting game of 2017. For ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, is going to DC's Injustice 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well deserved.
When I think of fighting games, rarely at any point does story come to mind immediately. Now, people who love your Street Fighter and stuff like that, there's obviously a story there. It gets a little kind of crazy. And some people, Marvel vs. Capcom, some of the, like Mortal Kombat story. But seriously, Injustice 2's story, the campaign in it, the single player offering, not to mention all the other like AI stuff you can play, and like the universe, like the expanded universe stuff that they have there that you can do, is so good. It might be one of the best DC stories we've seen in like a decade or two. It's just so interesting how they get these characters to come together. Yes, there's a lot of just like, misunderstandings, so they have to fight it out. But it's such a compelling cinematic, like
misunderstandings.
Yeah, it happens so much, but it's like this beautiful, compelling cinematic thing where you can kind of see both sides for the most part of this fight, and it's just so well done. Not to mention everybody looks really good, it sounds really good, it feels good, and that's something that's really big in a fighting game. When you get hit in this game, you feel it. Like you're like, okay, that was a big hit. Yeah. And it's just all around. There's just not a lot I can say that's bad about it. Like, it's just, there's so much stuff here. Like, it's got so much to do, regardless if you like to play online against other people, against your friends, or play alone. It's just like, yeah, if you want, you can just do like these special little AI universe missions. You don't even have to fight another human being if you don't want to. And there's like an RPG system with the loot on top of that to make your character look certain ways and be stronger against the AI. It's like, it's just so well done all around. Joe, what do you got to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, echo every sentiment you made. To add on top of that, I'd say versatility and character choices. It was compelling enough that they had DLC characters. Did I go and buy a few? Maybe.
I even bought one. I bought Red Hood, and I would never think to do that. I was just like, I had a few bucks
off. You like that character too, right? And,
yeah, I'm good with him.
I bought Black Manta.
Yeah, he's sweet.
Love him. I think he's awesome. He's probably, now I'm so excited to see him in an Aquaman movie. It's crazy, but really cool, and a lot of fun. And you touched on the customization with the gear and the loot boxes and your earnings from winning matches, that sort of thing, and experience. The customization is there too, which is really fun. I talked about the variety and character choices, the animation, the actions with the moves that they make, really well done, really fun. And everything just looks good overall. The character design is there, quality is there. One that comes to mind immediately for me, I really enjoy it, Atrocitus. I think he just has a cool look to him. It's like the devil, but not. And then Scarecrow.
Oh, for sure.
You got to mention Scarecrow. I think he's awesome. And coincidentally, they're both my top characters. And then besides them, Black Manta, who I've only recently played, and he looks great as well. I got a cool helmet for him that's more like a what would you call it? It's more of like a V shape.
Yeah,
it's real sharp and cool, and I love like the animations when they win a match and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Their super abilities.
They smack talk when they enter a fight, and it's usually different every time.
Yeah. However, there are a couple where I would have gone a little bit in a different direction for their look. Examples of this, maybe Wonder Woman, maybe keep it a little more true to the film industry.
Which I think they had a version that you could get that was Wonder Woman from like the Gal Gadot version. But yeah, you're right. They've always had an issue with that. And then the Injustice Gods Among Us, the first one, they had a problem with her in that one too. They don't know how to like make Wonder Woman look not like weirdly terrifying. Like
well, and here's the thing. I think they went a little bit more for that classical version of Wonder Woman, which is okay. I get it. They did the same thing with Aquaman, whereas now I kind of prefer the more updated, more chic version from the films. I just feel like that's more appealing to people, and we'd love to do that. I know it's available somehow, and I forget how it is. I know like in the mobile game, which you can connect with this game on Xbox or whatnot, which is really crazy. You can kind of manage your characters and stuff from there. I went and downloaded that just out of curiosity, and I looked at it. Not only can you play it on your phone in the way you do on the console, similar, and it looks almost as good, but you could download these movie characters from there. You could get the DC Universe versions from Warner Brothers in the game. Want to know how much it costs, Jimmy, in the mobile game?
How much?
$99.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And there were microtransactions in this game, but they didn't force it on you, and you don't need to buy them. That's the difference.
No,
They're there if you want them. If you
unless
want
you
to
want to
process.
jump ahead and expedite it, yeah. But needless to say, same Aquaman, Wonder Woman, maybe a little bit of a different direction. Any others you can think to mention? I don't know. Sometimes I wish they would have gone a little bit more out there with Bane sometimes.
Maybe, yeah. I think he's still fine for what he is. I wish maybe he kind of look a little different when he juice up with the venom, but
exactly, yeah.
The attention to detail in this game, though, it's hard to match. Even in a fighting game, it's just like, just look in the backgrounds, man. Just like, it's just incredible. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, the backgrounds are cool, and your interaction with the backgrounds as well. Your stage transitions,
ooh, baby,
cool when you can pull them off. Am I right?
Oh, so good, so good. Yeah, man, totally. Injustice 2, well deserved. Great game. One of the greatest games I think this year. It's even if you're not a fighting game fan, I would recommend checking it out because if you like DC at all, this is like one of the coolest ways to play these DC characters. So good.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe, before we get to the next category, I feel like there's this power, like there's like an exploding atom or something. Like I feel like there's this award that's coming and it's going to be like a big deal. Do you know? Oh, so for best movie, right? Oh, what do you have there?
This award, Jimmy?
Oh, yes, that's the one.
I can't look at it. It's so bright.
It hurts to look at, but I want to stare.
Oh, my precious. I want it. All right, I'm done with that.
But soon. We'll get to it soon. Okay, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just keep going. We only have a few more to do before we get to the best movie. All right, our next one. Yeah, we're nearly there. This one's a little more near and dear personally to me. Joe obviously talked about co-op multiplayer being personal to him. Co-op, I also am a huge fan. I always think of Gears of War when I think of that. But for this one, we're going to talk about this year's best soundtrack. There's a lot of good games and a lot of good music out this year. Final Fantasy 15 is the one I think of last year being really a standout one. And this one, well, maybe let's just say it's kind of close to that in some regards. And the Critty goes to Persona 5. Now, Persona 5 is really just a slick, cool, just beautiful looking game. I mentioned that at the beginning, and I should have. But everything looks great, and it's only bolstered by the music. It's jazzy. It's fun. It feels like you're actually like on a heist mission, but it also does a really good job of giving like this rainy day vibe sometimes, the music. When it's actually raining in the game, it's just like you could just sit, relax, just chill, walk around Tokyo, go study for a test, just hang out, play some games in the game, just like hang out, have a good time. The music just spans the entirety of that, from your everyday to like the biggest, craziest fights in the game. It does it so well. I highly recommend you go check out the entire album because it is so good, and it's a really good thing to just kind of have playing in the background or whatever you're doing in your normal day-to-day. So check it out. Best soundtrack of the year, Persona 5. Congratulations. All right.
If anybody knows their music, it's you, Jimmy.
I try my bestest because I love music so much. Joe, hit me with the next category because, well, I don't know. This seems like an interesting one for you to present, but I like it.
This is an interesting one for me to present. I think of any of the categories, this might have been one that I would argue with you a bit, but
really?
I have no place to argue it because I don't know enough about all of them to really say one way or another.
Not yet, you don't, but one day.
But one day, sure. So
because that's how we can be brought together, Joe, in a different way. We play 2 single-player campaigns, and then we talk about it together. That's how the co-op. That's the co-op, right?
Talking's for losers. I don't talk about my feelings.
Yeah, who talks about things on a show on the internet? Who
bottle them up and wait for them to explode in a fit of rage.
Which he calls a heart attack.
God, no.
Not before the award for best movie. Anyway.
Oh, no. Jimmy, quick. We got to get this one out on the table. Screw the other ones. Award for best movie. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's having a heart attack here. Healthy as a horse. Ticker's always a ticking. All right. This one, I'm just going to get right into it. This one is the award for Best Open World Game of 2017. I can see the gears are turning. I know everybody's thinking, oh, this one. Oh, wait. Oh, but everybody's talking about this one. This one's probably the best. Yeah, I think there were a couple front runners here. I think we honed in on the one. So, Best Open World Game of 2017 is going to be Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Joe, why don't you tell us why that's the winner here today? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do it to you.
Because it's beloved and everybody likes it. And
no, that is not the reason we chose this one. And I will tell you why. I am not the biggest Zelda fan. I'll tell you guys that right out of the gate. I just played Ocarina of Time recently. It's fine, but by today's standards, not so great. Yes, it set the framework for all the things we have today, and that's why I could see why people love it. And at the time, it was a 10 out of 10. Nowadays, more like a 6 or 7. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Anyway, this game is captivating in a way that I haven't had an experience for a long time. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Horizon Zero Dawn is in a similar, I want to give it an honorable mention. It's another big, beautiful open world game. While I'd say Horizon Zero Dawn has a better attention to detail in its world, just walk through a forest sometime in that game. Try not to make take a picture in that game. Every picture you take is a wallpaper or screensaver. It's just so gorgeous. However, Zelda is also very pretty too. Not just the princess, but the actual game itself. Like everywhere you go in that game, it looks great. And it's just inviting. You just see a shrine. You just see some monsters. You see a treasure chest. You see a mountain. You see a cave. Everywhere you want to explore, and it feels like it's your journey. Not one time in the game have I felt like they're forcing me really to go down any certain path, because even when I would start up one of their major dungeons with the Divine Beast, I could just leave at any time. I could be like, you know what? I'm kind of done with doing puzzles right now. I'm just going to go out into the world and just, hang out, maybe go do some shield surfing down a mountain. Like you can just do that at any time. And that freedom, it's a beautiful thing. It's ambiguous in how you have to move forward in the game sometimes, and that's a beautiful thing as well. Like you don't have to do things in a certain order. You can do it at your own pace. You don't even have to play the main game if you don't want to. You can just kind of go around doing shrines, getting more heart containers, get more stamina, climb mountains, do whatever you want. It's beautiful for that, and that is why it's our game for open world, our best open world game of 2017. Yeah, even though we didn't review it, it's still incredible, and I really wanted to give it the attention it deserves, because a lot of people are talking about it, and rightly so. There you go. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, even somebody like me who's not really into the more Nintendo feature games has heard a lot about it, and it sounds very credible. So yeah, good category. Nice little what's the word?
Summary.
Yeah. You sell it well. That's how I'd like to put it.
Why, thank you. And not that it needs to be sold very well. No. Joe, I'm going to throw a wrench in your plans, as you did to me.
Are we going to jump the best movie of the... Oh, no?
Not yet, Joe. I'm excited, too, because I think I remember which one we decided. I think this category is best done by the master. We're going to be talking a little bit about the best horror picture of 2017.
Who's the master here? What?
You're the master, because I am terrified of everything.
Oh,
so
all right. No, not everything. Not everything.
Just commitment.
We could have we could have seen this together. Don't worry. I got your back.
I would not have been okay. I would not have been okay.
You never look. Yeah, okay. I don't want to spoil it. No spoilers now. So we're making a little jog in the path, if you will. I don't think we'll come back to center. I think we're branching out. We're branching out a bit, people. Over here, maybe over there. It's out here somewhere. I just felt like raising my arms. My pits are getting a little hot. No, I'm just kidding. It's hot up here on the stage.
Of course, we dressed up to class this joint up, and then I didn't think the word pits would be used. But here we are. Unless we're talking about Angelina.
Oh, look, I got
Brad.
it on the next envelope. Has a little. Sorry. I sweat easily, guys. I'm kidding. I'm no stranger to a suit. All right. So, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Sorry. I'm just running right into it without even building it up here. Or have I built it up enough? I don't know. You tell me. We're going to go for some more. So, come on. We're having fun. So, we're branching off. A little over here. We're probably not coming back to here. I don't think we are. We may not. Anywho, we're in the movie category. We're into the moving pictures. This is, Jimmy referred to me as the master of this genre.
Something I regret immediately, but here we are.
You're not going to deflate this head, this ego. Can barely fit on the screen.
I know, I even got you a wider angle camera for this. But...
yeah, thank God. Otherwise, you'd be looking at my eyeball. So, we're in the movies. Something I consider a personal infatuation. Horror movies. I love them. I think there's nothing better than early fall leading up to Halloween or any time of the year, but especially that time of the year, sitting down, watching a good scare flick. Something to get the blood pumping a little bit, put you on the edge of your seat, maybe make you inhale on a popcorn kernel, maybe spit up a little bit of your Mountain Dew at the theater.
Is this something you're confessing to? Has this happened to you? You can tell us.
It's maybe happened, all right? Maybe.
Was it at this movie?
No. In fact, I was so nervous throughout the movie, I was probably empty on my drink, and it was a large by like 2/3 of the way through.
Which, if you're not from America, a large is like I couldn't even fit it on the screen. Like it's
yeah. That's why Joe's fat. Now, I'm not fat. I'm husky.
He's big boned. All right, everybody, just back off. It's my friend.
Built like a freaking tank. No, that's my sweet indulgence when I go to the movies. It's not an everyday occasion, you know. It's a little treat.
You don't have to justify your concession purchases.
Listen, I watch what I eat every other.
Well, we all watch while we eat. I mean, they're going in our mouth. Am I right?
No, I look away. All right.
You know what? I take it back. We should be asked to do an award show because we would stretch it out and be so weird and about us. That's
what this is. These are the Critties, Jimmy.
The Critties, baby.
We can do what we want. And I hope everybody's getting a little bit of laugh at my expense.
I know I am.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So horror movies, I kind of covered why I like them. It just is. It's a good time. I talked about how I like and appreciate like good monster designs, that whole thing. The xenomorph is one to mention. And I'll talk about that further, maybe. Who knows? But this movie is something that there was a lot of anticipation around for the general public, for ages young and old. It spanned a lot of generations. It's something that's historically very prominent, and this is a well-deserved award. The horror genre is something that's not commonly talked about in the awards community, or I guess they're not acknowledged as much as some of your more mainstream genres. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into best horror movie of 2017. And I think by now you can take a guess at what I'm going to read out of this envelope. So, best horror movie of 2017. You may have seen it once a long time ago. Oh, I mean, or you may have seen it this year. It's the movie It, people. Stephen King's It.
Good job of subverting expectations, because it could have been that or Alien. And I was like, well, you could have seen either one of them a long time ago, or you could have seen this one. So
I know, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Pat on the back. Come on, give it up. No,
So why is it the best horror movie? Why is it better than, say, like Alien Covenant?
Well, in our discussion on this, because we're a democracy here at Critical Reviews. I mean, at least so I thought. You brought this up, and it really hit me. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. And we talked about this. I think I even mentioned it in my review. Alien Covenant was a great movie. I'd say it was runner up. It's an honorable mention. I don't know that there were any other horror movies that were as prominent or well done with a budget behind it. I don't know if anything really compares to where Alien Covenant and It were. Alien Covenant kind of blurs the lines between sci-fi and horror. It's more of a sci-fi thriller with the horror aspect mixed in there. But the movie It just tops it. I mean, not only is there nostalgia involved, it's a period piece. It strikes a chord with a lot of people. I mean, how often do you hear people say, I have a phobia of xenomorphs? Xenomorphs. I can pronounce words. But a lot of people have a phobia or dang near a phobia of clowns. Never have I been in a movie with a packed house and it was a horror movie. Alien Covenant had a pretty good crowd, even in my town of Stevens Point, which is pretty small. But it was packed. Like, luckily I showed up early and Haley and I got a seat. Haley loved it. Haley, every once in a while, she has a little craving for a good horror movie, but she's not a horror fan by any means. She really enjoyed it. She thought it was excellent. And I've only seen bits and pieces of the original It. I found it to be a little boring at times. It was good, but it was kind of This one, the visual effects and features and the details of the film, the characters, very well done. It gets a little zany at the end, but it still feels appropriate. There were so many moments throughout the movie where a packed theater of, I don't know how many, I mean, it has to be 150 or so people. Every one of them screams or takes in a big deep breath, or, from a scare moment. And that was multiple times. Some people that were a little more squeamish, they would scream during some of the little scares or, the little surprises. The clown, excuse me, but I cannot remember the name of the actor who portrayed it. But it'll put the clown into your nightmares for a long while.
Yeah, Pennywise is pretty messed up.
Yeah, Pennywise is, oh God, the gutter scene where the kid chases the boat to the gutter. Scary, very scary. It just strikes a chord with everybody. If you don't, I found myself jumping, and I'm pretty macho, but I found myself jumping at certain moments, and it gets you. It really does. And the fact that it gets an audience to react the way it does is a good justification for its success. Overall, just insanely well done. Even if you're not a horror movie fan, I feel like it's kind of one of those classics that you should make an effort to see.
Sure.
And it's even a little bit longer. It's not short. It's not formulaic like your standard horror movie, which really sets it apart from other movies in the genre. Yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about it. It's something you kind of got to give it a chance and give it a watch and just see what you think. I think it's worth your while.
Cool.
But a little tidbit for you guys. Let's bring the laughs back, shall we?
Sure.
After we saw that movie, I didn't even know this, but apparently we had balloons in our apartment. We were still at the apartment before we moved into this glorious house, which is a great accomplishment of 2017 for me. Very happy. But after we saw that movie, we were at the apartment and we were getting ready for bed, brushing the teeth and whatnot, because I had that big sugary soda. And Haley says, what did she say? Did you lock the front door or did you shut the garage door? I'm like, oh, I can't remember. And, she's convincing me, I don't think you did. So I'm like, all right, I'll go check it. The second I turned the corner, she had set it up so that the dining room lights were off. And we had the stairwell that turned. So the dining room is right here. You had to turn, and there was like a little half wall by the stairs, and you turn and go down the stairs, and down there's two doors, one to the garage, one to the outside. And there's a little recessed can light in the ceiling down there at the landing. She had taken a balloon, a red balloon, tied a string to it, and she took a little piece of tape, because we didn't have helium, of course, on such short notice, and she hung it, taped it to the ceiling. So as I flipped the light on, there's a red balloon with a string at the base of the stairs. And I won't lie, I gave out a little yelp. It freaked me out pretty good. I was like, he's real, this Pennywise, run for your lives. You'll float too. Not me, you bastard. And I was gone. But she got me good. And just goes to show that movie was still in the back of my mind even an hour or so later, and a fun one. So, best horror movie of 2017. Jimmy, I don't know if you have anything to add, but man, what a goodie.
Nope, I'm not into scary movies, but if I were, I might watch it, but it runs away with me. My imagination is too strong, and I can't reel it in. Sometimes it's a gift, most of the time it's a curse. Anyway, we're moving on, though. We only have 2 more things to talk about here tonight.
I can't wait for this one.
Before we get to the best movie, I think it only fair that we are critical reviews, and like we say most of the time, that you have to appreciate with a critical eye the little things, but also you need to take into stock what maybe could be much better. This is the worst movie of 2017.
Oh, dun, dun, dun.
And the winner goes to... Just think about it for a second. In your heart, you know what this is, dear viewer. You know which one it is.
Press pause. Make your guesses now. You have 5 seconds. Cue the elevator music.
Put in the comments which you thought it was going to be, and then what, if you're happy with the result. Anyway,
yeah,
the answer is Transformers: The Last Night, Transformers 5. Now, if you watched my review, which you definitely should, and Joe and I discussed this as well.
Jimmy, hold on. I'm a little surprised. I thought we had chose Underworld Blood Wars.
Underworld Blood Wars gets an honorable mention. We'll talk about that. But Transformers 5, I went and saw an early showing of it. It was like $6 and like maybe 36 cents or something. I had a $5 coupon or $5 off, whatever. I only paid $1.30 or whatever, maybe it was more than that. But anyway, I still felt like in seeing that, I wasted that money. Not only is this just a rehash and a retread of the old ones, it learns absolutely nothing. The sophomoric dialogue is back with a horrible vengeance. There's less transformations, because why would you have that in a Transformers film? And yes, everybody's favorite, Mark Wahlberg playing Cade Yeager is back. Everyone's favorite scientist who lives in Texas, who has a Boston accent. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, and they get Anthony Hopkins to get in there and just be a bunch of expositional dialogue. It's like you have one of the greatest actors of all time and you barely do anything with him. It just
Jimmy, what about some of the good things? Like there was a pretty girl in there, and there was also like some pretty badass cars. Am I right? Yeah.
See, this is your problem, Joe. This is why they keep making these movies, is because that mentality right there. Because that is just the substance. There's no substance behind it. It's just like it's one big car commercial. All right, and he's still drinking Bud Lights for the life of me. I don't know why. Also, there's a lot of questions because
they paid him the money to drink them.
Baby Dinobots How does that even? Who was making these things? I
Yeah,
don't
I
get it.
remember that discussion on the podcast when that movie came out. The baby Dinobots, ridiculous.
It
So
just
you got big Dinobots in the background at the junkyard boning, or what?
no. All I'm saying is that for entertainment wise, there are a few moments where you're like, okay, this is like the old ones that do slow motion so you can see what's happening, but it doesn't really look that good. It just feels like eternity, and there's a lot of questions in it, like physics goes. Okay, quick spoiler alert, whatever. There's a moment where Cade Yeager gets basically Excalibur, takes a sword, and is able to fend off the attack of another Transformer, like a 20-foot tall mechanized warrior, and he blocks it with a sword, and it's like, I don't care how strong you are, that's not gonna happen. I'm like, it just
I could do it.
about this. Also, the whole thing is predicated and based on this whole like, hey, remember Civil War when we had like heroes fighting each other? Well, guess what? Optimus Prime's gonna fight Bumblebee, and that fight's like 45 seconds, and it's like, ugh, why? It's like the only reason I watch these movies is for Optimus now. I hate all the humans. I don't really like any of the Transformers. There's like maybe one or two besides Optimus, but it's just such a slog. And these movies are so crazy. The plots are so stupid. It just takes forever, and I just don't want them to keep making them. Please just stop. Or maybe when they make these like the Bumblebee spin-off stuff, just don't let Michael Bay make these movies anymore, all right? It's the same thing every time. It's like some girl who may or may not be underage, who's all sexy, looking at like a really nice car. That's what these movies are, everybody. That's all it is. It's like killing me. It's a cool idea, and you're just killing it. All right, just make a crossover with GI Joe and be done with it. It's a bad movie. Don't watch it, please. Everyone, don't do it. Please, just don't do it. Please.
Yeah, there were a couple things. I mean, you hit the nail on the head for the most part. And we had discussed this in the past, even in a podcast, and it's a piss poor movie. The only thing I could really grasp out of it was, wow, that was a cool car. Oh, they destroyed it. I did enjoy the throwback to like the history with the whole medieval knight thing and all that. That was kind of interesting.
Yes, it was. But then Stanley Tucci, who was also in the last film, plays Merlin, and then he talks like a modern day person as a wizard back in the past. It's like,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense there, guy.
the robot dragon in your film. You should be cooler. Like, where's that robot dragon in the last fight? I don't know. It's just flying around.
It does a couple things and disappears, and then it's just flying around. Like, we're just gonna keep an eye on things from up here. I also, So even the good thing had a bad thing in it. You know what I mean? But I feel like they did set it up. They kind of touch more on the historical parts of the Transformers, their history. Bumblebee being a factor in World War II. They could make a spin-off movie on that. Maybe go for a more intimate vibe, and make it a little bit more what do you want to say? Grounded, down to earth, something a little bit more relatable and maybe emotional, perhaps.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. Let's be cautiously optimistic, but let's face it, there's nothing to be optimistic about after what we've seen in the recent past. But I couldn't argue this one. Honorable mention, Underworld Blood Wars. If you saw that movie, it kind of made you laugh.
Is it worse than Awakening?
No, it's
surprisingly
not.
It's like a step up from Awakening, but it's still really boring, and I just don't care.
The first two and the third one, Rise of the Lycans, were great. Awakening sucked ass. This one just sucked.
So Celine has a power eventually now where she can like literally teleport so fast out of a situation. Like a guy will grab a coat off her and she'll be gone. You've seen it in the trailers. It just gets confusing because she fights other people and then she like resigns herself to death. It's like, what? Like, I don't even know what that's, I don't even care. It was just boring. I was just like, this should be cooler. It used to be so cool. Now it's just like,
yeah, they really started botching it a bit. And I think practical effects started to go out the window and you end up with some sort of mutant lichen thing that just makes you laugh. The best part about those films is Kate Beckinsale. Even women have a crush on her, right?
I've not polled people about this. Be like, Kate Beckinsale, yay or nay? You know.
Come on, people. Kate Beckinsale, yay or nay? I want to hear in the comments. Yeah. So that was a fun category to divulge, if you will. I think a lot of people can agree.
But
so, if you can argue our choice, if you can find some sort of redeeming quality in Transformers: The Last Night, Transformers 5. If you can find something that'll trump our bad points, let us know in the comments, because we'll start a whole thing on this. It'll go viral.
Yeah, I would love to get in on this, because I want to hear people's, if you have a least favorite movie of this year and you want to write like, a sentence or like 50 paragraphs on it, I will read it, and I might even read it on the show and just be like, just go point by point by point by point, because it's fun. It's fun to do that.
Post Critty Awards, post tonight. Perhaps Jimmy and I will come out with a bit of our own personal list on our top 10 worst, top 10 best of the year. We've kind of been going back and forth on this, and we've talked about all of them in the podcast and all that, and we can have a little fun with it. But first, maybe let's see what your top 5 were. Huh?
Yeah. Tweet at either of us with the hashtag Critty Awards. There you go.
Oh,
all one word. Just do it. Just one word. Capital C, capital A, no apostrophe for the. You don't need to do apostrophe Y or Y apostrophe S. Don't worry about that. Anyway, there's light at the end of this tunnel, because we're going to talk about the best movie of the year. Now,
the what? The what?
That's right. Now it's. You gotta show it to him. I'm sorry, I'm talking. Yes. Now, like Joe said before, this is democratic, and this does not necessarily mean it's the one that, like, if I reviewed it or Joe reviewed it, gave the highest score potentially. It's the one we came up with as a group, especially here on the show. Joe and I, do this every week pretty much. So we wanted to, agree on one movie that we were happy that represented our favorite movie of this year. So without any further ado, Joe, please take it away.
Well, let me set the trophy down. One final look before it graces the hands of our award winner.
This is a big deal.
The final Critty Award envelope of the evening. The 2017 Film of the Year. Wonder Woman.
Yeah, buddy.
Miss Gal Gadot, would you please come up to accept your award? Gal? Miss Gadot?
You know what would have been really funny? If we would have timed this well and got your fiance to grab it off screen and then just take it and be like,
oh, I kid. I'm happily engaged. Anywho, yeah, I thought appropriate. We cover a lot of films throughout the year. Probably, I mean, let's face it, film, game, primary focuses. Sometimes film kind of trumps that. I mean, we got a lot of good movies to talk about. We're spoiled with a lot of good movies every year. And there's just something that brings people together, good discussion and jousts about likes and dislikes on certain films. And this one, I think via the democratic voting process between your generals, Wonder Woman hit home and had to win the Critty Movie of the Year award, because I feel mostly because of, well, quality is there, period. Casting, period. The emotional intensity of the film, most of all, period. Any movie that just pumps me up and drives emotion out of me, maybe you'd see a tear or two run down my cheek. I don't know. If I go back to the truck, I start it up and I start jamming to some hard rock and really just like I'm in the zone after seeing a movie, that movie is a worthwhile watch. And Wonder Woman did all of those things. And like I said, I think number one for me was the emotional intensity of it. It really gets you. And then the casting. Gal Gadot is good on her. I think she even just won an award I saw on the news today. She won, an award for Rising Star of the Year or something like that in Palm Springs Film Festival. So, well deserved. her and the director for that movie. Do you recall the name, Jimmy?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. There we go. Good on you. They hit it home that a female-led film in the superhero genre, of all things, can be very successful. This movie, I didn't hear one complaint about it. It broke some records even. It was just a top-notch film. DC's best to date, which not a hard feat, I guess, but we thought it would be the best stepping stone of all for them to boost this DC universe. But, some people like Justice League, some people didn't. But needless to say, I was really looking forward to reading the name on that envelope. And, man, what a great movie. Yeah. Jimmy, I'll hand it over to you. What do you have to say?
Well, you kind of said a lot about it. We watch a lot of superhero films, and they're probably one of my favorite things to watch right now. I really love getting caught up in these worlds, escapism. But not often do I feel a lot when I watch these films. An honorable mention for me might be Spider-Man: Homecoming. That one made me laugh, and it was just such a fun, little entry in the MCU. However, it didn't make me feel the same way that Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman did make me feel, it made me feel sad. It made me just kind of happy as well, finally getting to see this amount of respect and love for a character and have this person be a role model, not just to, women, but to men too. She was an inspiring, hopeful, good person who just happened to have superpowers, on where she was, or she was brought into this world that was different. It's also a period piece. I love those. And it's kind of like if you took Thor and put it in the first Avenger, Captain America, it's yeah, you know what, you're not going to World War II, you're going to World War I. But it's really interesting to see that time period and see what she has to go up against. And Chris Pine is a really excellent person to put her against. I love Antiope and all the other Amazonians. They were pretty interesting too. There wasn't enough of them, but I think they had just enough time there. And their little mob squad that was kind of like the Howling Commandos, there's 3 or 4 guys there that were all kind of different, but they all had a little bit of personality to them. And I think less is more with that type of thing. You get a little more time to see how they're bonded. And even the Native American chief guy, he was there and he was talking about his business is just he kind of just goes around during wartime and he gets a bunch of money for that. And when he met Diana, they kind of had this warrior bond. He kind of was oh, and he took his glove off and they kind of did the kind of thing. And it was right there, that says a lot about cool. His character. It's just, I love it so much, and I'm really excited to see this again, do a commentary on it one day. But I really love Gal Gadot's performance. I was so nervous when we first saw her and when she was cast for Batman vs Superman. I was oh, could she handle a whole film? And we know now that she definitely can. And honestly, going into Justice League, she was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to see it. I was where is she? And I was where's my lady?
Where's that theme song?
Yeah, and I was not excited about that theme song at first, but now I'm all on board. I'm it makes me excited. I'm all right. Yeah. It's a well done film. There's a few issues as far as maybe the CG gets a little weird sometimes. The villain's not the most compelling, but it's really easy things to gloss over when you just look at it as a whole. And it's just the best film of 2017, I think.
Yeah, and with the villain and everything, and I don't mean to analyze the movie because let's face it, we've done it in the podcast previous, but they really kind of drove home her origin and who she is through the villain in this film. Ares, the god of war. She's the god killer. She is a product of Zeus and her mother. She is essentially a god, which kind of really fleshes out for people who aren't very well versed in the DC universe or the comics of old, etc. Her character, kind of oh, okay, so I understand now. Wow, that's cool. So the comic world is kind of tied in through mythology, and then even in Justice League, they tie it all into that, and even Steppenwolf is oh, a god, the gods of old or whatever, and they talk about how when Steppenwolf first invaded Earth, even the gods from Greek mythology joined in the fight with man, the Amazonians and the Atlanteans. And it was really cool. They kind of hit on the historical features a bit without getting too deep into the mud, right? But her being fleshed out in that way was great. I agree with you that the CGI can get a little goopy at the end there, but it was still intense. There were certain moments throughout that film, and we talk a lot about the feels, right? The emotional intensity of this film is really what hit it home. And the fact there was a period piece in the casting, but they really hit those feels home with certain moments where it's not so much based on like action, it's more based on like the characters showing emotion or certain little nuances that really, I guess the action too, but you see the emotion behind it is the big thing. They do a good job of portraying that emotion, which in turn kind of it shadows it on you. You can't help but really feel it, and it's not your standard action flick or superhero flick where the emotional factor really doesn't hit you. Here it does, and maybe it's because it's a female-led film. I don't know, but good on them. They just did a good job. If you can get me to tear up in a film, that's great. What is that scene, Jimmy, where she hops out of the trench with the shield?
That's at No Man's Land. And I was going to say that scene, we all talk about it. Even Kevin Feige from Marvel's talking about it. But it's such a good, like, awe-inspiring moment. Like, brings a tear to your eye. And I'm just thinking, like, this is what... I'm just happy that not just, like, little girls can have this, like, role model and be like, cool, like, that's just something to look up to. But, like, little boys and, like, men, women, everybody can look at her and be like, man, she's like a symbol for hope and peace. She sees these problems with these people. And she's like, we have to help these people. And they're like, you can't do that right now. And she's like, no, we need to help them. Like, just, it's so good.
We talked about, in a lot of ways, especially in the podcast where, our kind of summary of the details and discussion on it after it came out, we talked about it a lot, and this is something I really wanted to touch on, and this is another reason that really solidifies why it's our film of the year. But I'm losing my train of thought. Come back to me.
I'll say I can fill in for you for a second if you want to.
No, hold on. We're just going to have a long pause.
Nope. Well, you think about that.
No, it's very relatable to the current day scenarios or situations, the current events. You may have had to think about it a little more to really pick up on that. But if you think about it, her naivety to the situation and understanding of what war was with humans and the race was a little inspiring too. It's like, why is that even a thing? Why do you guys fight each other? And Chris Pine's role the whole time is like, I don't know how to tell her that it's just, we don't get along or we don't always see eye to eye on certain laws and rules and who's better and who's worse and that sort of thing. And the whole time she thinks it's just influence from Mary's, which technically it was, but it's still the human's free will and decision. It's not like he's forcing them into it. He's just telling them things to give them that nudge in the right direction. But her naivety to that situation realizes how ridiculous those things in our modern day kind of are and how sad it is that it's a existing feature in our everyday life. But that I felt was kind of inspiring in that it kind of related to that, and that kind of coincides with the whole Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot being a beacon towards young women, older women, men, boys, people in general. It was truly inspirational. No Man's Land, her getting out, and I just couldn't help but think, World War II, man, horrible war. What if there was some sort of X factor like this for the good of the cause, something to kind of lick the fingers and wet the wick, so to speak, and put that flame out and just snuff it out. It was truly kind of inspiring and really just a excellent, stellar example of why this one hit home and touched every note, struck every chord of emotion. Just great. So I spent a lot of time on it, Jimmy. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but I felt like it was time well spent for our most important award of the evening.
That's true. The last thing I want to say, good action, not forced. A little forced, maybe rushed romance, not forced, just a little rushed, but I still really like the dynamic. Yeah. But it's hard to complain about a lot in this film. I just highly recommend, if you want to see a superhero film, if you're not really into superhero films, this would be a good one to watch. You probably are already seen it, though, if you're watching this show, but watch it again. Go check it out. Go pick it up. Go buy it. Go support this movie because it's good. Second one's coming. Apparently, it's going to be completely different, which makes me scared because I really liked how this one was. I don't need to do it again in World War II. I just want them to the same feel, just good.
Yeah.
Bring Gal Gadot back. Bring Patty
Jenkins
back.
All I need is that feel, man. The feel.
All I need is the feel.
Feels.
Now, you might be wondering, we did a lot of awards here tonight. We've done a lot of them, and I want to know everybody's. Please comment them and tweet them at us. But we're also doing Game of the Year. But believe it or not, we're going to do a separate video just for that because I think it deserves its own place. We did one for 2016. It came down to Titanfall 2, Overwatch, and Final Fantasy 15. This year, well, we might surprise you just a little bit. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe just a little. You might be like, I thought they would pick this, but they did this.
I don't know, Jimmy. I just checked up my sleeves. I don't have any other surprises left in me.
I got plenty. That's why I'm not going to show you my sleeves. I'm just going to look like this. Yes. But yes, that will be coming very soon. So keep checking back. It will go up, and you guys will be able to see it in all of its glory. Before we get into the next segment of the show, I want to take just a moment to salute our commander, Jonathan Larson, our $100 patron over on patreon.com. Thank you so much, Commander. We appreciate it.
Salutes, Jonathan. Good man.
There we go. And as Jonathan likes to say, their fate concerns me. Yours does not. Thank you so much. And if you want to know how you can get a beautiful, customized avatar like that, and for us to say a line or two that you say every week, just check us out on patreon.com/critical reviews. Now, Joe, we've been talking a lot about stuff we've been killing time with, but we need to just briefly get into that segment of the show that I like to call, that you like to call, that we like to call
Time Killers.
That's right, Time for Killers. The movies we've been watching, the games we've been playing, the TV shows we've been viewing, the cookbooks we've been reading. Joe, what you been killing time with, pal?
A little bit of Betty Rose, Southern Kitchen Living.
Nice. That's a good one.
Oh, jeez. No, I'm a good cook. I don't need a freaking cookbook. A little pinch of that, a little pinch of this. I did grow up in a restaurant, remember? I'm not full of myself at all.
He's like, hello, sir. Just, I work for some soup. I work so hard for soup. Please, thank you. All right.
Sorry, may I have some more?
Some more? I'll just sweep this little spot. All right, I know it's a carpet, but it's the best I can do with my little Joe Lever arms. All right.
Yeah, little. That's all I can do to hold these pythons up, baby. All right.
Years of cleaning the floors make me big and strong.
That went way too far. All right. Time Killers. What have I been killing time with? Ooh, doggy. I watched recently King Arthur, Tale, Sword in the Stone, something like that.
It's such a good movie. You're like, I don't even remember what it's called.
Yeah, here, I'll pull up the real name. It was King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Sorry, not Tale of the Sword.
Sword of the Stone.
Legend of the Sword. It has, I forget the name of the guy in there. He's from Sons of Anarchy. I actually really like him a lot. I think he's a cool
Charlie Hunnam.
How
do I know all this information? Oh my goodness.
You are just, it's all rolling around up there.
Yeah.
He is a cool character. The ladies love him. In this film, I forget who the director is. I remember reading it right in the beginning. I'm like, I recognize that name. This movie already seems a little odd, and it was just the intro credits and the cutscenes.
Was it Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, something like that. And this movie it's flooded with some montages. It doesn't take itself very seriously. For a period piece of that time, the whole, I don't know if it's Dark Ages or what did they call that? During the Knights of the Round Table.
Like a medieval kind of thing?
Yeah, medieval. No one had an accent. Some people did, but it wasn't really that prominent. It was just kind of like a non-serious King Arthur type of deal. But then the other half of the film was kind of serious and cool. Jude Law's in it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy from Game of Thrones, the snaky guy, and I can't remember his name now, Littlefinger. He's in it. Plays a good guy, spoiler. But it's just you don't know how to take it. There's some cool features in there and some cool ideas, but for the most part, it's just kind of garbage. I didn't want to put it as most disappointing of the year because it was a little more entertaining than Transformers, and it was new, a little more original, but not worth a watch. Let's just say that. And unless you're one of those ladies that's infatuated with Charlie Hunnam, then by all means.
Or guys.
Yeah, so kill a little time with that. What else did I watch? I watched all 3 Jurassic Park films. Oh, and I mentioned I also watched Jurassic World. For some reason, Sunday, I had a lot of time to kill. 5 movies in one day, maybe 5.5. Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World. I think I watched Jurassic World like 1.5 times just because I was bored. Jurassic World, what a shit movie.
We gotta, please, now that you've watched them, I really, for World or Park, I gotta do a commentary with you. We gotta watch it together because I want to go back to Jurassic Park so badly. Does it hold up for you? I mean,
Jurassic Park holds up. Yeah. Even every time you see a dinosaur, you're just like, yeah, it looks pretty legit to me.
That shot of the raptor, now that I'm older, with all the DNA code on it from the computers as it's looking up into the ceiling where they are.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's like, so good.
The DNA code on it?
Yeah, it's got the C's, the A's, the G's, and the T's. Like, it's got like the green. It's like looking up because they get up into the ventilation
I thought
system.
It was like a reflection of a light through a diffuser.
No, it's like the DNA code on it. It's very cool. Like there's like some sort of like projector that's showing that somewhere, and it just gets on the raptor.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
It's so like
that movie is excellent. It's just excellent. Not to mention it's original. It was the first dino movie. It just established a feel of it strikes awe in you. You know, you're just like, wow. You know, you kind of feel like Sam Neill and the blonde lady in the Jeep.
Laura Dern.
Yeah, when they first see the dinosaurs walking in the plains, and they're just like, what? You know, I mean, that's how you feel seeing that for the first time. Then you start to become a little numb to it as you go through the trilogy. But you know, if I had to rank them, I think I would honestly, I would go 1, 3, 2.
Yep, I was just gonna say that one. I'd say like 1, 3, 2, and then I don't know where I put World right now. It ebbs and flows with me. Sometimes I put it underneath 2. Sometimes I put it a little bit before it. I don't know.
It's got a bit of a different vibe. They went with a different feel to it. And let's face it, they had to do something a little newer, new age. But I really hope for this next Jurassic World movie, Fallen Kingdom or whatever it is, that they go back to that scare tactic, a little more suspenseful thriller, which it sounds like they are. So fingers crossed. Chris Pratt and, oh gosh, I forget her name and I feel guilty.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
How can you forget that name? A cool name. I like her a lot. I like her as an actor, as a person in real life, after seeing interviews and stuff. I think they just need to use those two in the right light. I think in the first Jurassic World, they really just threw Chris Pratt in there and said, here's your guy. Everybody go see the movie. And I was just like, I don't give a shit. Let something eat his leg off. I don't know. I just feel like that's not a selling point for these movies. The actors that you cast they matter, but they don't need to be big name actors. That's not what is going to get the people to go to the movie. Maybe for those dumb, shallow ass people it is, but that's not me. So oops, almost knocked over our Critty award.
Gal Gadot, come pick it up whenever you can. Thank you.
Yeah, Gal Gadot. It's Gal Gadot was unable to join us tonight.
Or Patty Jenkins.
She's busy filming Wonder Woman 2. But I will accept this award on her behalf and deliver it to her personally.
Okay. Well, that restraining order is coming in hot. Anyway,
I'm kidding.
Jurassic Park. We'll talk about it. I mean, we've talked about it so much on the show already. But
we're going to do a commentary on Jurassic World.
We just on Jurassic World, so much fun. Joe and I watched it a while ago. Some of the reasons it's a movie we just kind of keep going back to, even though we're not huge fans of it.
Like it's entertaining and you enjoy seeing the dinosaurs and stuff, but you just know it's kind of garbage.
Yep.
The rules of the movie are wrong, and the overall clichéness of it all, like dinosaurs nodding at each other, like, "Yo, bro, thanks for helping me deal with that guy. Like that was a tough one. Whew. Thank God you got enough teeth and I got enough teeth." Oh, doggy.
Yep.
Stupid.
Mm-hmm. You been killing time with anything else?
Oh, I know there's more. Give me a moment. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and move on. What you got, pal?
Yeah, so mostly I've been playing some Cuphead recently, which has been great. Civilization 6, I've been playing a little bit too. We did a little stream of that the other day, and those are like the big games besides Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that I'm still playing. It's the perfect time of year for it because it's so cold out that I just sort of sit inside and just play a game and be in a world where it can be cold, but it can also be very hot. So like if you buy a volcano and you're like catch on fire and you're like, no. So
That sounds horrible.
yeah, but you can get a little suit that makes it so that doesn't happen. So it's all good. Anyway, as far as movies and shows, I've been rewatching All Noah Zero. It's a show on Netflix about like mech suits and Japan and like the world versus like these human descendants who come back from Mars. Like Mars becomes like kind of a more of a barren planet, which it already is, and then they come back to Earth to fight and take over the planet with this new power called Old Noah, and it basically is this energy source that gives their robots like way stronger abilities than the robots on Earth. But all the robots have a big weakness, and if you figure it out, then you could beat them. And it's really cool. It's very entertaining to watch, and it's my second viewing just because I like watching this particular anime, especially the people who make it. I think they may have worked on some other anime that I really like too, but the animation just looks really good. Unfortunately, the robots are like CG, so it's a little weird sometimes, but I still really enjoy it. Besides that, nothing really else of super note to talk about as far as time killing goes right now. So there you go. Just there you go. Now it's time to move into my personal favorite segment of the show, community feedback and questions. So I asked our Legionnaires what their favorite game was of 2017, Joe. Here are our responses. Missile Mage writes in, he says, I think it has to be Persona 5, 250 hours played. So many characters I adore. Horizon and Final Fantasy 12 close behind. The 12 remake, obviously, here. And we also had a very long write-in from our friend Beaten Down Brian, and I just have to read it. It's too good. So he says, what a year for games. Just from the ones I played, there's 7 or 8 games that probably would have been my GOTY any other year. Nier Automata, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Wolfenstein 2, Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, and possibly even PlayerUnknown Battleground that is now is officially out. For me, though, the one that stood above all else this year is Yakuza 0. While all the others are still fantastic games, I feel that I can point to either flaws or just areas where they miss the mark. Whereas with Yakuza 0, I just feel the game just nails it in almost every single thing it went for. The overall narrative is superb and gripping the whole way through, and even genuinely touching at times. Even with the more serious tone of the story, it does an excellent job of inserting its comedic moments at just the right time, as well as handling how the storyline of the game's 2 protagonists intersect. There's such an abundance of interesting characters, side stories, and activities that range from heartwarming to downright bizarre. There's a whole real estate business that you can run that's completely optional, along with people you can find and hire to run in for you. Spoilers, including a chicken. That's a cool run-in. He said, in a year of amazing games, Yakuza was the first one I finished, and it has been with me, that stuck with me the very most. Every time I think back on my time with the game, it makes me smile, and that has to count for something. It's beautiful. I hope I didn't butcher that too much. That's a really good write-in. Okay. Thank you so much for writing it. And like I said before, we will have our game of the year coming, the video coming down the line here shortly. So just stay tuned. It's coming. Don't worry. Gotta give it a little something special. Anyway, now for questions. Question from Game Over Reviews asks us, what is the one game you didn't have time for in 2017 that you will be playing this year? I think for me, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild. I didn't think I'd play, like, I did play some of it, obviously, in a little bit in 2017. But now that we're in 2018, I'm getting a lot more time to play and dig into that one a lot more. It's a very, very good game. Joe, is there any from 2017 that you missed and are interested in, even though you might not necessarily play them? Or is there one that you're like, I'm picking that up?
Some games I already own. I don't feel like I missed out on any, really. Destiny 2, I mentioned this during the awards. That I'd like to go back and check out the DLC, so I'm sure I'll pick that up here in 2018, spend a little time back in that game. It is a good time. I'd like to play a little more of it and just diversify my game choices here throughout the weeks. Another one I'd like to go back to is, excuse me. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Ghost Recon?
For Honor.
For Honor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know you and I were doing a little research trying to see if they had recently got their dedicated servers or not, because I know we had a lot of issues with disconnection and that sort of thing, and matches just kind of quitting out because people left. So that game's good. I know our buddy Drew goes back and plays it time and time again, even very recently, and he still has a good time. It is a good game. It's fun. It's a good concept, and I'd like to go back to it and give it another shot just for Timekillers' sake. So those are a couple I'd like to get back into a little bit here in 18. So
cool. Last question comes in from Missilmate. He says, Echo Critical, what is your favorite character outfit this year? #Critical Podcast. Joe, he didn't specify video game or movie, but let's do this. I'll pick a video game.
Take advantage of that.
You do the movie one, I'll do the video game one. All right.
All right. Maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. It kind of coincides with our Movie of the Year award. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
Wait, Joe, did you just say Wonder Woman?
Yeah. That outfit. No, I think they took what was kind of a boring plain Jane Girl Scout uniform. Granted, it was revealing all that, the bust and all that, whatever. But they took it and made it something more chic, historical, and impactful. The colors are they have more depth to them. They kind of seem more, I don't want to say rustic, but gritty. And I just really love the outfit. It's sharp. It seems armored, but it's not restrictive. She looks good in it. It's just cool. And now I associate that with Wonder Woman more than the classic, just because it's more appealing. It's more with it, hip. And I can get on board with that. Certain situations, I prefer the originals, but here, this just works. And honorable mention for me is Jason Momoa is Aquaman. I love that outfit from Justice League. I thought it was really well done. I love the new take on Aquaman. It's not your typical cheesy orange and green outfit. It's more relatable, more to what you would expect. Not relatable. I mean, it's out there. Don't get me wrong, but the whole Atlantean vibe, they really strike it home. If he would have been in an orange and green outfit, what would you have thought? Sorry, it doesn't really fit the profile here and the whole overarching story they're going for. So
maybe we'll see though. Might change it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's green in there. There's just no orange. It's gold. Whatever.
I like orange. Orange is a good color. I will say this though. Second time watching Justice League, I noticed some of the other Amazonians or Amazons had very similar battle gear onto Wonder Woman's. So I was like, oh, this, it just happens to be what she wears, and like that's just what they wear as well. And it's like she's the only one who left and became like a superhero. If any of them would have done it, would have been like probably the same costume. Would have been like, yep, this is just what I wear. It's my battle gear. So
remember, she's the God Killer.
She's the God Killer. That's true.
On another level.
Spoiler alert, I guess. Anyway, while you like those ones, Joe, I'm going to talk video games. I really do love a lot of the outfits from Persona 5. All the thieves look really cool. I was thinking about doing a cosplay as the main character. It's like this kind of like long black trench coat, red gloves, cool, like masquerade mask. They all look chic and they all look amazing. But I will have to say, and this kind of give an honorable mention to a character in particular, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. All the outfits in that game are really a cool mixture of like kind of tribal, but then kind of futuristic and metal parts and all these things that are kind of like stitched together, and they look really, really cool. And I would have to say that she has a very striking visage with her armor and whatever she's kind of wearing that she adorns at any time. Even the late game stuff, I have like this kind of like metal helmet thing that looks really weird. And it's like, you're wearing that in the cold, that would really hurt you, you'd think, but she still looks amazing in it. So I'd say PlayStation really hit it home with their outfits this year. Everybody's looking chic on PlayStation. They're all looking pretty good.
How about Destiny 2, Jimmy? I mean, does that one count? I really liked all my armor customization, the shaders, and I won't lie. When I went into the Crucible matches, I was like, yeah, look at me.
They're fine. I guess they're okay. Some of the Warlock ones were interesting to me, but the problem was I never got too attached because sometimes you find something better and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. That was a good question. But also, thank you, everybody, for sending in your questions. If you ever have a question for us, you can send them to us at any time with the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can send it to both of us, which is at GoCritical, the capital G and or capital C, or you can send one to me personally. I'm at JimmyGood013. If you want to tweet one at Joe, you can tweet at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Exactly.
Bam!
As Joe alluded to earlier, we are streaming here on Twitch. Yes, we're at twitch.tv/critical reviews. Check us out Mondays or Thursday afternoons typically, but evenings sometimes too. So just keep it locked on Twitter. We'll always let you know when we're about to go live. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank This Is Dale for our amazing intro and outro music. And I also want to thank the one, the only, Joran Evers. Now, Joran, he is incredible. Not only does he do a lot of the art we have here on the show, most all of it, but he does commissions too. So if you ever want anything done by him, very reasonable price, very good work. And he will do like fan fiction and stuff from time to time. He just did a Star Wars one, which was incredible, like a comic. It was so cool, just like a one-page comic. It's just so good, 1 or 2 pages.
I saw that. That was really good.
He's so freaking good. One of the things he drew recently. It's my background on my phone now. I just asked him, I was like, "Can I put this?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." I was like, "His Kylo Ren." He does like a really cool Kylo Ren. He's like fighting Jedi Padawans. It's very cool. Anyway. Yeah. He's very good. But if you want to support us and get some of that sweet, sweet Joran Evers art at the same time, check out patreon.com/critical reviews. I implore anybody over there who's, interested in supporting the show, just throw in $1. Share us around with a friend. That helps you. If you're at $1 and you've been at $1 for a long time, we appreciate it. Think about 2. I mean, it's like, but we still appreciate even just 1. And for everybody who's donating that all the way up to $100, all of it means a lot to us. Really appreciate it. Another year has come and gone. This is the second time we've done the Critties. Feels good. Feels real good. And I would love to just do like a 4-hour podcast talking about every award. But if there's like an award we missed and you want to see, maybe we'll do like some follow-ups with people are like, you didn't talk about this or talk about that. But we just appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you so much. And you should check out all of the things that I've linked up here because shameless plug, go watch those reviews. They're pretty good. So if you want to compare them to like, some of those reviews I still stand by. I think most of them I do still stand by the scores I gave them. Some of them, I'm like, oh, maybe it's a little high, but it's like I try to look at it objectively as opposed to like a big personal preference. But we all just look through the lens that we were given. So thank you so much. Thank you, Joe. Another wonderful year. Thank you. You look so snazzy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jimmy. You as well. Look at that red tie. I tell you what.
Oh, what can I say? I want to dress up. I want to impress the Legionnaires, make them, feel good because they're all wonderful, excellent people. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Legionnaires. Black. Yeah, I know. We're coming up, by the way, on our 100th episode. So check it out. I don't know what we're going to do, but it's probably going to be something special. All right. So just stay tuned for that. Just a few more to go. But thank you so much for stopping by. And just remember to adapt and overcome. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.